So, if you're skinny fat, what diet approach should you even take? I think a lot of people struggle with this. When they start out, a lot of people, due to the lack of sleep and, hormonal issues, whatever the case may be, they are skinny fat. So they carry too much body fat, but still don't have any visible muscle. So it's kind of like the worst starting base. And I think a lot of people are like, man, I feel so small. I should go on a bulk. But, I don't want to get too fat. And I also don't want to get even more skinny by going on a cut. Well, I'm here to answer a couple of questions with what I think is a good approach with this. First of all, you know, I have a complete video on sleep improvement. I think you should watch this first. I'll link it down below. I think, if you really want to make a transformation, I think this goes hand in hand. The training obviously plays a role in this too, but I think even more importantly, to actually get rid of this look, this sort of estrogenic look, you got to fix your sleep too, because this may be a fucking root cause of your problem that you have low testosterone, perhaps. I've been there before. I wasn't skinny fat, but I had low testosterone because for years I used to sleep horribly. Um, got it checked, and yeah, it wasn't good. So I fixed it by fixing my sleep. But we're talking about diet here. So what I'll essentially explain is what I think is the best approach, how to solve the skinny fat problem. Um, which is this right here. We have a 1 year graph right here. This represents 1 year. So what I'll even do is I'll explain each of these phases, a recomp, cut, and bulk, like what the macros are looking like, how the meal timing works. This is for cut and bulk, but where we're staying in here. Anyways, and I'll also give recommendations of what a 3 month program, a 6 month program, and a 1 year program should essentially look like, in my opinion, if you want to get the best out of this. Okay, so 1 year. So if you had 1 year, I would do this. Like if you're a total beginner, do recomp. What is recomp? Well, it's basically pretty simple. You just try to aim for staying the same fucking weight. There's some nuance to this shit. For example, like don't vary your salt intake too much, as this can, drastically change your fucking body weight through water weight that is added. But this should be on a cut too. Like not as important on a bulk, but still I try to keep it somewhat consistent. But generally, you aim for staying the same body fat. This is what a body recomposition is. It is just you fucking lose fat and gain muscle simultaneously. Now, you can lose fat much quicker than you can gain muscle. But this is the great thing, as a beginner, you can gain the quickest muscle. So the only time where I'd recommend somebody do a recomp is if, either you're fucking hopping on gear or you are a complete beginner, which is what this video is basically about. If you're just starting out, because I think most skinny fat people are just starting out, don't have any fucking experience. That's why you keep the fucking. But what you do is, well, let's just fucking scroll down here. I'll just explain this real quick. Right here, you do maintenance calories. You basically figure that out pretty simply. You can do it calculated online, and just eat that for 2 weeks and calculate the average of each week of your body weight, because you should be weighing yourself every day. And what you do is you see how did the weight change. Did the weight change? If it's smart, it's not going to be the exact same number, but you get what I'm saying, right? Um, what you can do is put another 250 calories on top if you have a training day. Because obviously you're going to be expending more energy there. You may need the fucking energy. So that's pretty good. Macros should be looking something like this: 1 gram per pound of body weight, protein, fat 0.3 to 0.5 grams of fats per pound of body weight, and you fill the rest up with carbs. It's really simple. I try to make this as easy to understand as possible. I'll talk about food sources here too in a minute. But yeah, pretty much this is the way I would run it if I had 1 year time. Obviously, this would be the ideal outcome if you give yourself 1 year time to fix this problem. I think this solves a lot of problem, because I think a lot of people, when they start, they kind of get overwhelmed because all of a sudden they're going on a cut, they're going on a fucking calorie deficit. They can fucking, because the key here is, I didn't even talk about this on the recomp, is you eat the same calories probably as you would usually, but you switch it out with good food source. So instead of fucking eating crackers and fucking donuts or whatever, like just try to aim for these macros and switch it out with good food sources, with good protein sources, healthy carbs, healthy fats, stuff like that. That is going to make a huge difference. And just by training alone, like getting that physical activity, giving your body that stimulus for the first time, which at that point it will be so sensitive to growth because it just hasn't experienced this before. You will be able to do recomp essentially. Like after these 6 months, you could even extend this longer if you wanted to. Like, dude, you'll have a completely different look to your physique. You will actually see a muscle outline, um, and you will be the same weight, but you'll be lower body fat, which is the fucking ideal outcome. So take advantage of this shit while you're fucking new, right? Because, I've been lifting for 8 years at this point. This wouldn't fucking work for me, right? So that's why I think this is a great option. You don't have to be stressing about, I'm on a cut now, right? Fuck. And I'm already eating food that I'm not used to, and all of a sudden I'm on a calorie deficit as well. It can work, sure, but I think if you were to make it as easy as you can for yourself, which I think is also an important part of this, of training itself, making it enjoyable for yourself so you can actually sustain it. If you're doing this on your own, you don't have a coach or anything, and you go into a cut when you've never done it before, you'll be second guessing yourself like fucking crazy because you will be getting small, especially in the beginning. Like you'll be dropping a lot of fullness, from your physique if you had any in the beginning, and the body fat seems to be looking the same. So you think, man, I'm doing this wrong. Chances are you are doing it wrong, but that's a different topic. The thing is, like, if you have the chance to do it in an easier way, why not take it, right? That's why if you gave yourself like 1 year, if you're not really impatient, I think doing a recomp is just as good as going on a normal cut. I even recommend it for sure because you'll improve your physique massively. And after that, you do a 3-month cut. You'll already have lost body fat at this point. Keep that in mind. You'll have built muscle, you'll have lost body fat, and you won't get weaker on this cut either because you're still pretty new to the fucking gym. You've been training for 6 months. In the grand scheme of things, that is basically nothing, right? So what you do is you hop on a quick cut, 3-month cut, get even more lean, probably won't build a ton of muscle here, and then you start a lean bulk. And at the end of this year, you're going to be unrecognizable. I think this is the best approach to take here. Let's talk about the cut real quick, how I'd go about it. And while we're at it, let's talk about the food sources as well because it shows up on the screen now. So on a cut, you shoot for a slight deficit. Lose 1 pound per week, roughly. This depends on the body weight. If you're heavier, probably lose a bit more. But the thing is, the protein stays the same, the fat stays the same. Fill the rest up with carbs. So basically, you're gonna eat a bit more carbs. Pretty simple. Gives you more energy. I'm so fucking stupid. This is the cut. You'll likely be eating a couple less carbs. Like the ideal scenarios, you don't change the diet at all, and you just get your activity a bit up. You get a bit more steps in. Okay, that's the approach that I would take. But it should be the goal that you're in a slight deficit. All right. So, yeah, like I said, diet approach could stay the same. You could just up the activity a bit or cut out a bit of fats first. That's what I'd cut out first, okay? So, the food sources, whether you're on a recomp phase, the cutting phase, or the lean bulking phase, I think you should be eating for food sources any sort of lean meats and dairy products. That includes whey protein shakes, casein protein shakes, maybe before you go to bed. That can be totally fine. Eating a ton of eggs. I like to eat full eggs, not just egg whites. The yolk has a lot of very good vitamins in there, dietary cholesterol, healthy fats. And for fats too, like olive oil is good. You'll rarely be ever eating like nuts because it's very calorie dense. Fats are. That's why you're probably not gonna eat that on a cut or a recomp phase. But you can eat some nuts if you want to get your fats up, or some avocados. Just some recommendations, right? There's a lot of options. And for carbs, fruits and vegetables, frozen or fresh is fine. I like frozen vegetables and shit like that because they're just as good as normal vegetables. They get fucking frozen at the time where they are the most nutritious. So you'll have no difference there. It's just way easier to make. You don't have to fucking cut them up and shit like that. I like to use frozen vegetables, but fresh is fine, obviously too. And like whole grains, make some nice pasta, whatever, whole grain bread. Lots of options there. So let's just talk about the bulk real quick, the lean bulk phase. You're going to be going into a slight surplus, so you're going to be eating more. Which you could put the fucking macros on top of anything here. I'd probably do it with carbs, honestly, because it'll just give you more energy with your lifts and such like that. But you can do it in a balanced way too. It's not that deep, to be honest. But yeah, getting like 1.5 pound per week is going to be a good base. I think it's a healthy range. You do want to be in a caloric surplus. Just maintaining. I think in my experience and from what I could gather in my studies of this shit is I think you'd be better off running a slight surplus because there's different mechanisms in the body that fucking happen when you fucking go on a caloric surplus. That's why, and that includes muscle growth. So yeah, I've experienced with this shit before. Didn't work out quite well for me. I wouldn't do a fucking dirty bulk or a fucking bulk where you go into a huge surplus, but 200, 300 calorie surplus up to like 500 at the max, and you're going to be fine. Keeping the food sources the same, this will be a very, very good thing. But let's quickly talk about, these other programs, because like some people may be impatient or whatever the case may be. And this is what I do with people on a 3 month or 6 month program. I would skip the recount phase. Yes, I do recommend it, but if you want the greatest transformation, the most visible transformation, I'd probably go ahead and for a 6 month program, which is still very good, going on a cut and then on a lean bulk. Simple as that. Especially if you're working with a coach, you won't be second guessing yourself as much, and you'll be taking the right approach for the cut. So you'll still be getting stronger, probably grow some muscle as well. So that would be a good 6 month program. For a 3 month program, bro, you basically got to do the fucking cut. It's quite a short time, but it's still, if you do a great cut for 3 months, like, going to be a great transformation. Completely honest. And to give you even more information on this whole fucking thing, let's just hop on over real quick and talk about meal timing, and a bit of supplements too. And you know what to do with these meals. This is what I generally recommend. This is how I fucking do it every single day of my life. Unless I'm like not training, then I'll switch it up a bit sometimes. But I'm basically training every day. That's a different topic. So on a training day, how would this look? Like, don't worry, like on a fucking rest day, it wouldn't look a whole lot different. It doesn't have to look different at all. That's just what I want to preface. You can fucking change it up for rest days and training days. Having a bit more carbs, having a bit more calories. But it's not needed, bro. I've done great cuts where I fucking didn't do it. Don't have to do it if you don't want to worry about it. It's all good, okay? But the thing is, I do it like this. Waking up, I usually have some coffee, go out into the sun without my phone. You can read something, whatever. Have a good start to your day, okay? Because you will have slept well. It's all good, okay? If you're really busy, just hop in the straight meal. But I like to have some coffee for like 15, 20 minutes, bro. And then I'll probably get my first meal in, which is going to be the first meal of the day, and also my pre-workout, okay? So what I'm shooting for here is obviously protein, a higher carb intake than with my other meals, perhaps, and a lower fat intake, because high fat intake before training can fucking disrupt it. If you're fucking digesting the shit and you're like, fuck, dude, you have to do a heavy sets of squats, it's kind of fucking bad, okay? So you can do some caffeine if needed. If you don't consume any caffeine, bro, it's all good. You can do like a pre-workout or some shit, a booster. It's all good. This is the time to fucking take it, okay? Before your session. After your session, that's gonna be where I'd be taking my creatine supplement, like the only real supplement, and besides like protein powder that I recommend. The other shit really depends on what your levels with vitamins are. You can take a multivitamin or some shit, vitamin D. That's what I do. But that's a different topic. Yeah, like post-workout meal, obviously protein intake very important, and also high carb intake here too. This is going to be where I personally end my carb intake. I have high carbs in the morning and high carbs post-workout. And then for the bedtime meal, I wouldn't do it like really close to bedtime. I do it like at max like an hour before I go to bed, so I don't have to fucking lay in bed and digest the shit. It's just a bit easier. Higher fat meal. I'll bump the fats up here because it's going to be the longest period of me not having any food at all, and also protein and a bit lower carb intake. Okay, I don't eat any carbs during this meal. Works for me great. I just eat scrambled eggs here, for example. You can fucking pick your meals from the recommendations I gave. Not fucking set in stone, but yeah, this is basically how I'd be timing it. Carbs around the fucking training session. Fats before the fucking sleeping. Not too close to the bedtime, but not too far away too, right? You don't want to be fucking be hungry in bed. And yeah, that's basically it. Protein balanced throughout the day. I always recommend you eating like a balanced fucking macros, because the issue is you can potentially lose out on a lot of fucking things, such as hormonal health. If you like go really low with one certain, especially fats, macronutrient. Like, why would you ever fucking go zero protein? I've never heard anybody talk about it, but even if you fucking cut out like carbs completely like that, you will fucking ruin your training performance. I've done it before. It's horrible. Wouldn't recommend it. Mentally, I felt really clogged up too. Like, I can't recommend that. But yeah, man, like, also a couple of points. Like, I'd obviously recommend you drinking a lot of water. Like, if you want to make a good transformation out of this, just to keep yourself hydrated. You can drink, I like to top up a bit before my training session. During my workout, I drink a bunch of water. You can drink stuff like, cluster dextrin or something like that. Bit of carbs in the gym. It's not necessary, but it's a nice thing. And I wouldn't vary too much with the salt intake, all right? I wouldn't fucking, one day like really salt my shit and then next day not at all. This can really fluctuate your body water weight, so your body weight isn't easy to track anymore at that point. You may be wondering, fuck, dude, why did I gain weight? I'm on a caloric deficit. Probably because of shit like that. And this, like I said, this all ties in with sleep as well. Like your body weight can go up because of the fucking cortisol spike if you don't fucking sleep well. If your sleep is shitty, if you're really stressed because of that, your body's really stressed, you're probably gonna have a higher body weight because of the water. It's gonna fluctuate. So always try to sleep well every night, and you're gonna be good, in my opinion. So yeah, this is just a recommendation, that I'm giving you here. Feel free to screenshot this. Yeah, you can screenshot this right here. I mean, you can see I've talked about this before. I've made a video on this. If you have a busy schedule, what you could do. Example day for meals too. So basically, yeah, this is about everything I got for today. If you have any questions, you can always message me on Instagram. My IG link is in my bio, so feel free to check that out. And also, yeah, leave a comment. What do you think about this shit? What are you experiencing right now with your journey? Leave a like, and I'll see you on the next one.